everyone. Thank you again for joining us for our 10-9 day Periscopes. And this time joining us we have on your left, Amanda Furr, 2012 Olympian, and on your right, making his second appearance of the day, Michael Liuzza, Olympic Training Center resident athlete and development team member. And today, we're hoping to talk about why we're a sport. So please, send in your questions so Amanda and Mike can answer them for you. And maybe you want to kick us off with what makes this thing so hard to do that you guys do day in and day out?
Well, so let's just start with air gun. Yeah, you see, the aiming black that we're looking to shoot at is roughly a silver dollar, $half size. But within that is the 10 ring, which is about the size of a period in a newspaper article. So we're trying to hit that, and we're trying to completely take out that dot the entire time. So it's not just hitting that, target this big. It's something, way smaller than that.
It's the same thing with small bore too. We're trying to shoot in 3 different positions, so we're having to deal with switching out all of our gear, making sure that we're stable. There's a lot of different positional work that we have to do, so it's pretty hard.
Okay, well, someone asked us, how long are your practice sessions?
Depends on what you need to get done that day. Longer session, you might even have, 4 hours, but those are a little bit more rare. I would say anywhere in the 2 to 3 hour range, depending on what I need to get done, but a regular day is about 2 to 3 hours.
I usually try and go between 2 and 6, so, it really just depends on what you're working on, so sometimes it'll just be like, come in, get your stuff done, and then you're out, but sometimes it'll extend up to 6 with a couple breaks somewhere in there, lunch break, that kind of thing, but sometimes we try and stay there all day, so you really never know.
Well, thank you guys for all of the supportive comments you are all sending. It's really very much appreciated. Someone also wanted to know about, talk about your training both on the line and what you do athletically in the gym.
For me, I do a lot of work on the range, but then I also do a lot of work outside the range. So I'm in the gym probably 5 days a week, sometimes 6. Weightlifting 3 days a week. 2 times a week I'll try and do some kind of cardio activity, sometimes 3. We do mental training, work with nutritionists, and then on the range, we're doing mental stuff and physical stuff.
Pretty much what she said. Lots of stuff. I try to stay active. As far as specifics on what I particularly work out, a lot of hip stabilization, core, lower back, because that's where most of the injuries come from, is in your lumbar area and your hips. So try to mitigate that with those exercises.
Well, P-Dog wants to know if you have any suggestions for getting kids involved in the shooting sports.
For getting kids involved, I like to go and speak to kids a lot, so if I'm at an event or something, I always reach out to the kids and speak really supportively about getting into the sport and try and direct them to USA Shooting's website or the NSSF or somewhere where they can find resources to get involved in the sport. But usually if they see the people that are involved and that it's a lot of fun and you get to make a lot of friends and you can get into college from it, then a lot of kids get interested.
Just to add to that, 4-H shooting sports, lots of people have 4-H clubs in their areas. Also, USA Shooting Junior, NRA Junior, any different organization that has to do with shooting generally has some type of youth shooting program.
We also had another question about, are your favorite events just the ones you shoot, or do you have other shooting events you like to compete in?
Oh, well, not Olympic style, just because we do so much work with what we do. We don't really have time to shoot other Olympic events. Well, I don't really anyways, but I like to shoot other shooting stuff for fun, like AR-15s and Glocks and that kind of thing.
Definitely that kind of stuff. Long range, love long range, because you have to deal with the wind a little bit more so than small bore. So it adds a challenge, and the rifles are just cooler to me. So
well, it's kind of fun because it's similar to what we do with the rifles anyways, so we can apply some of the techniques that we already use in competition and use it for long range stuff. So I like shooting that stuff too. It's fun.
And we also have another question about, who are your inspirations in shooting?
Another loaded question.
It's a hard question to answer just because they're our friends for the most part, the people that are up at the top. Like, we're competing with them, and obviously we have a great appreciation for everything they do, and they are inspiring when they win medals and stuff, but we're trying to do the same thing. So we're kind of on the same playing field, I guess, at this point.
That, and you can look at the older generations like Lona Swigger, Lanny Basham, Margaret Murdoch, and those people, huge inspirations because they were constantly winning.
Yeah, I remember when I was 11 and 12, and Lonnie Miley used to come to my shooting club and speak to us, and I asked her for an autograph when I first started, and I framed it, and I still have it, so I look at that sometimes. I think it's cute. She's great.
Quality.
Someone asked, who are your best shooting friends?
I would say at our age, you get the collegiates, also, the fellow residents here.
We're pretty good friends.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. She thinks so. I mean.
Whatever.
Yeah, the other residents here, a lot of the guys at the Army Marksmanship Unit, since we compete with them so often, we get to know them very well.
It's a tight-knit community because it's kind of a small sport, so we meet people internationally and everywhere. So, I don't know, I think we have tons of friends in this sport.
How old were you when you got started?
I was 11. My dad got me into it.
13, 14, that area.
Okay, and thank you for all of the hearts you're sending our way. We really appreciate all the love you guys are sending. And please, if you have, yes, if you have any questions about why we are a sport, we have Amanda and Mike here to help discuss it. Maybe can you guys help talk about, discuss the mental aspects of this sport, because that's such a huge thing. It's not just pulling a trigger.
For me, something I've struggled with a lot, but something that's also been a huge help depending on the time of the year or part of the season, is just having confidence and staying positive. Because if you go through, like last season, I didn't have the best season ever, so it was kind of a downer on my confidence. I didn't have as much positive vibes, while I was competing. But now that I'm getting back into practice and getting that back up, I feel a lot better. So for me, it's just staying positive and having that confidence that I can shoot well and compete well.
That also, in most other sports, you're actively moving. You can generally force something to happen. So, like if you look at the track and field events, you can always run faster. You can always, throw harder, that sort of thing. With shooting, it's kind of ironic. You're actively trying to stay still, which a lot of that just comes from your head, and you just got to relax and, just let it happen and not force it.
Okay, we had someone ask, do you have any recommendations on books or tools for mental training for shooting?
I think the same people who wrote Ways of the Rifle, Mike Eckhart and Heinz Rankemeyer, you can generally buy those books at McKenna Shooting Sports. He's the USA Shooting sponsor too. He sells them. The Ways of the Rifle, and then they also have a mental management book and a pistol book.
Another book that I like to read from my sports psychologist at Ohio State when I went there, Sports Psychology for Dummies. He was one of the co-authors. It sounds silly, but I've read that thing a million times, and you can kind of skip to different chapters and find things that apply to you, but I love that book.
Okay, and we had someone ask, does it get any easier when you shoot bigger matches?
No, you just get better with training.
Yeah, I think that, you just get more experience and everything. So it gets easier the more big matches that you shoot, just because you're gaining that experience and that confidence that you can shoot a good score in a big match.
Okay, one of the questions we have is, how do you break through a score plateau?
Smart training, and then you'll notice that you're shooting better. Sometimes it's something that happens really gradually, and sometimes it's like a light switch. But whenever you notice it, you have to stop and think, what did I do to get here? That way, you can keep working on those things and keep progressing from that point.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Same thing.
Okay, well, thank you all so much for the great questions. Thank you, Amanda and Mike, for talking with us about why we're a sport. And we'll be back in 5 minutes talking about the equipment used in the shooting sport. So thank you very much for joining us, and we hope you have a great 10-9 day. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.